So now we're going to finish off by looking at some concepts surrounding industrial chemistry. And so with industrial chemistry, the products of the chemical industry can be divided into sort of three main categories. And so this is basic chemicals, specialty chemicals, and consumer chemicals. So basic chemicals are divided into chemicals derived from oil, known as petrochemicals, polymers, and basic inorganics. So petrochemicals is a bit misleading because it's the same as chemicals that are being increasingly derived from sources other than oil, such as like coal and biomass. And so an example is like methanol, which is commonly produced from oil and gas, but increasingly also from biomass. And then so we've also got our basic chemicals. So basic chemicals are produced in large quantities and are just mainly sold within the chemical industry and to other chemical industries before becoming products for the general consumer. And so example like ethanoic acid being sold to make esters, which can then be used to make paints and then sold to the consumer. Then also like huge quantities of ethene, which are transported as gas to make polyethylene and other polymers to then be used as plastics. Our next one which we look at is petrochemicals and polymers. So the production of chemicals from petroleum, and increasingly coal and biomass too, has basically seen many technological changes and the development of very large production sites. So the hydrocarbons in crude oil and gas, which are mainly straight chain alkanes, are the first different are separated, and that uses their boiling points. And they're like differences in boiling point. And so this can be done using distillation. And they're then converted into hydrocarbons, which are going to be more useful to the chemical industry. So these are going to be like branched chain alkanes, alkenes, and aromatic hydrocarbons. And so these processes then just used to then determine, to then convert the hydrocarbons into various basic chemicals, which can be used, so like petrol, ethanol, and those types of things, which can then be put into further reactions to make more useful end products. So like, for example, using phenol to make resins, ammonia to make fertilizers, and that sort of thing. And so the main use for petrochemicals is basically just the manufacturing of a wide range of polymers. So next we also have basic inorganics. So these are relatively low cost and used throughout manufacturing and agriculture. And so they produce these in quite large amounts. And these things include things like chlorine, sodium hydroxide, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and the certain chemicals for fertilizers. And so as well as petrochemicals, many countries are also finding ways to make them cheaper. And so also meeting safety standards and environmental standards by using biomass to make these. Then there's also the specialty chemicals. And so this category is covering a wide range of chemicals for like crop protection, paints, inks, colorants, and it also includes chemicals used by industries such as like textiles, paper, and engineering. So these are basically just talking about new products which are being created to meet both like customer needs and new environmental regulations. And so an example is like everyday household paints, which have evolved from being like solvent-based to now being water-based, or like the latest ink developments for inkjet printers. And so finally, we've got the consumer chemicals. And so these are the ones which are sold directly to the public. And so this is things like detergents, soaps, and other toiletries. So that's where we're looking at our concepts of like saponification, where we use the triglycerides and react them with water in that hydrolysis reaction in order to make soap. And so that's just an example of one of those type processes.